The behind-the-scenes story of how the Nightsisters came to be such a massive part of Star Wars is just as interesting as their on-screen story. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching for more details. The Nightsisters of Dathomir are the most important Force cult in the Star Wars galaxy, using dark side Force and dark magic, but not being Sith. The origins of the Nightsisters can be traced back to the 1994 Star Wars novel, The Courtship of Princess Leia by Dave Wolverton. Katie Lucas, George Lucas' adopted daughter, played a significant role in expanding the Nightsister lore and bringing them to the screen in the Clone Wars, making them more important than ever in the Star Wars franchise. Ahsoka Season 1 brought the Nightsisters of Dathomir to live action, but their origins and their journey to Ahsoka shows that they are the most important Force cult in the Star Wars galaxy. The Nightsisters, also called the Witches of Dathomir, were a group of female dark side Force users who resided on the planet Dathomir, a planet that has strong ties to the dark side. The Nightsisters were Force wielders who used their dark magic and technically used the dark side of the Force, but were not Sith. When the Nightsisters were introduced in Star Wars, the Clone Wars, they were led by Mother Talzin, a strong and powerful witch. She was also the mother of Asajj Ventress and Darth Maul. Mother Talzin was also responsible for Savage Opress going off to find Maul after he had been driven mad. Mother Talzin was also one of the few Nightsisters who survived the massacre of the Nightsisters at the hands of Asajj Ventress's former master, Count Dooku, before meeting her fate later in the Son of Dathomir Darth Maul comic. The Nightsisters, however, have origins far beyond the Clone Wars. The Nightsisters of Dathomir were originally created by Dave Wolverton for his 1994 Star Wars novel, The Courtship of Princess Leia. The novel is no longer canon, as it was deemed part of the Star Wars Legends continuity. Many aspects of Legends have been recanonized, most notably Dave Filoni working to integrate some storylines and characters into his shows. He's done this with the likes of Grand Admiral Thrawn, and as more content written by Dave Filoni comes out, it seems likely that more elements will make their way back into canon. Wolverton sought to create strong female characters who were fighting back against the men who had wronged them. The Nightsisters were also meant to pose a point of tension between Leia Organa and Han Solo, as the Nightsisters were a potential other option for the smuggler. Wolverton remembers the experience of writing the novel and creating the Nightsisters fondly, saying it was fun creating characters that went against the grain of other Star Wars content that was out at that time. Wolverton's backstory led directly to the Nightsisters' portrayal in the Clone Wars, meaning much of Wolverton's ideas are still canon. A. McCaig worked as a storyboarder and concept artist for the Star Wars prequel movies. Much of his design work for Darth Maul and Padme Amidala's reign as Queen of Naboo was adapted into the films. The designs that I.A. McCaig created for the Nightsister-like characters in Star Wars. Episode I. The Phantom Menace were ultimately not used, though they did inspire Lucasfilm Animation Singapore's versions of the Nightsisters. In the 2008 video game Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Jedi Alliance, George Lucas took a liking to the character design, ultimately using it in the Clone Wars television show. Star Wars, The Clone Wars. Jedi Alliance was a video game made for the Nintendo DS and followed Jedi as they aimed to track down 3 Nightsisters who stole a shipment of Kyber crystals. While the Nightsisters are portrayed in the video game as antagonists, the real foe that players eventually face off with is Count Dooku. It's also worth noting that players run into Asajj Ventress in the game, though she is not a part of the thieving Nightsisters, but rather just an additional obstacle for players. Katie Lucas may best be known as one of George Lucas' children, the younger adopted sister of Amanda, and older sister to Jet, but she's done much more for the Star Wars franchise than many know. On top of making multiple cameos in the prequel trilogy, Katie wrote 14 episodes of The Clone Wars and wrote the season 3 Nightsister arc. The 3-episode arc has gone down as one of the best and most influential storylines from the Clone Wars.